Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 13th of April, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at currencies, then stock markets, commodities, and last of all, some tech stocks. And we're heading into the Easter weekend. Markets actually normally a bit quiet in the run up to Easter, but actually we're seeing quite a bit of volatility. The dollar falling quite heavily yesterday, close on turmoil and sort of global events, I guess, and we're seeing that sell-off. We hit that resistance on the short-term chart, and this is quite a significant pullback. The key thing, of course, is if we go higher than that level, around that 105. 50 level on the dollar index, 101.50 on the dollar index, then we've got a new upside target to 106, which is now about 6% away. But the key thing is at the moment is we are bearish. We're bearish below the cloud on the medium term as well. So the dollar just looking just a little bit less strong right now. And consequently, we're seeing a jump in the euro. So the euro back into the high 106 area, was nudging below 106 last few days, but now we're back above 106. So we're just bullish above the cloud, although we do have this downside target of 102 activated. And the outlook is still bearish in the medium and long term. It's just short term at the moment. The dollar weakness is playing to the euro's hand. We're seeing in Japanese yen, dollar weakness here as well, bearish on all three time frames. So the yen looking strong. A traditional safe haven or risk on trade is Japanese yen, and that's looking strong at the moment. Sterling actually looking stronger all the time on the medium and short term charts, still bearish long term, but we are just seeing some improvement in the sterling rate against the US dollar, so that's quite significant. And against the euro, sterling has the upper hand at the moment. And the Swiss franc, much the sideways movement, again, just reflecting that there will be a flight to safety on the Swiss franc, so that's any move in the sterling at the moment is being negated by the strength in the Swiss franc, so they're moving in unison. Against the Australian dollar, sterling is actually falling. Australian dollar looking strong at the moment. Commodities led, so we are just seeing that strengthening again. Looking at the S&P 500, just really the turmoil playing through into markets the last few days, and we are just seeing this gradual sell-off in the market. So we do have some downside targets on the S&P 500, as much as 2 and 4%, but we have upside targets too. So a fairly mixed picture in the short term. The medium and long term charts, of course, still very, very bullish. So the market really just taking a short term break. Nothing too sinister about this short-term sell-off at the moment in terms of the long-term charts. No downside targets. On Nasdaq, we're seeing just one downside target of 1.4%, so still looking a little bit better than the S&P 500, but has turned bearish into the Easter break, as has the Dow and the Russell 2000. We are just seeing the futures markets also below the cloud, the S&P future and the Nasdaq E-mini, but interestingly they're up slightly, so we may just see the US market retrace some of its bearishness before we close for the holiday. Looking at the UK market, it's actually holding its strong position, and FTSE 250 is powering ahead, so we are seeing UK mid-caps doing very well indeed. And the DAX is just selling off below the cloud, so it's looking just a little bit less good short term. And the Nikkei is suffering with the weak yen. We're just seeing that shorter term picture there. Hang Seng is up slightly and just still back above the cloud, so looking a little bit better. And Shanghai is holding its bullish position as well. The Indian market has just sold off a little bit. Sensex just testing support here as we speak, but at the moment still looking pretty bullish medium and long term. And the Australian market down overnight, but actually looking pretty bullish on all three time frames still. Big one is Brent Crude, of course. This has been really just run right back into this resistance area which we talked about. This 56.50 level is quite key. 57.50 is the level that we have to break. At the moment we're just on support. We do have a new downside target of 53.74. Looks like oil is hitting just a little bit of resistance at the moment, and we're seeing that on the the WTI chart as well. We still haven't negated this 37 downside target. Just a lot of volatility in the oil price at the moment, and that will be quite key. If we move to new lows, we activate a new downside target of $51. That's about 3.5% downside. US nat gas also just below the cloud, looking a little bit bearish there as well. Copper up quite strongly, but bearish below the cloud. We're up 1.6%. So we're just seeing some big moves there. Coffee down, so bearish below the cloud, medium and short term, and the we are just seeing some really big moves here. Cocoa looking really bad, bearish on all three time frames in the softs, and more downside. So a lot of soft commodities have been selling off, but it is a very mixed picture. We're seeing soybeans actually strengthening short term, and corn actually looking quite strong short term as well. The big story yesterday was gold, and that run continues. We jumped out on the medium term chart. We are looking more and more bullish, about to break these downtrends. So we're just testing resistance at the moment. Bullish above all three clouds, so gold is looking very strong indeed. And we're looking here and we're seeing 1293 was the target that was set. We got quite close to that. This new column here will give us an upside target. It hasn't locked yet, but it's at 1363. That's 6% from here. So hasn't locked yet, this column, but we've got a new thrust on the basis of there. The one thing we can do is go to the short-term chart, go to the 1 minute. And if we go to the 1 minute and press the T key, we see here we've got 1300, 1296. We can go shorter term still. 1285 we actually was given. You can't ignore these targets really on any chart. Once you get these targets, you can't ignore them. That was given back in March, given and now met. And if we go to the shorter term still, 1284, 1303, the aura is pointing to this 1300. We might see on the very short term a pullback to 1281. That's only 0.3%, and there's no real clues as to the very short term upside, but it does seem like we're moving towards this 1300 level. Silver also up in support, so precious metals generally doing quite well. We're seeing the 10-year Treasury yield really falling quite heavily, back into the 220s. 2.24% is the yield, and we've got a downside target to 208. So we are just seeing Treasury yields coming off there quite significantly on the risk factors. Apple just fell away a bit last night, so we're just nudging below the cloud, as is Google. A lot of tech stocks playing with their clouds. Amazon holding on more strongly. Facebook selling off quite as well, just seeing that below the cloud. Potential pullback of a further 2%. Microsoft, much the same picture. We're seeing all these tech stocks pulling away. Nvidia just falling away there as well. That's it for today. Have a great Easter weekend. Until next Tuesday in London, happy charting. See you then.